The House of the Hearth is a central focus in the Arcane quest as being both a potential ally and adversary to Fontaine's current crisis, the rising water line and the returning of people into water. However, the current ideals of the House of the Hearth weren't actually in line with the previous directives sent to the House. The House was both an orphanage and a mercenary agency in a way that it acts as a branch under the Knave and the Fatui by extension. So today, I want to dive into the tale of the previous Knave and her contributions, or punishments, to the people who unfortunately crossed paths with her. So sit back and let's begin with the tale of the previous director of the House of the Hearth. The first ever mention of the previous Knave, or better known as the Director, was during the world quest A Very Special Fortune Sip. The title The Knave changed hands some time ago, with the previous woman managing the orphanage itself being known solely as the Director. She was a cruel woman who was as callous as spiked shackles and spoke in an icy manner. The previous Knave's directors were horrendously ruthless and secretive, blackmailing others into submission, and oftentimes punished her subordinates when they failed her, and Fremine was unfortunately one of the children that had to live under her. Her directives were beyond cruel, such as intentionally separating children from parents who were indebted to her, and allegedly sabotaging other nations in order to garner more orphans for the House of the Hearth. Chitose further reveals that some Fatui agents who were loyal to her continued her directives, such as the previous instructor of the house known as Efim Snežević. When one of his subordinates was captured and interrogated, it is revealed that one of the directives the previous Knave gave included the intentional creation of orphans by mass genocide. An example of this was his plan to poison the people of Watatsumi Island, and in turn, create more orphans for the House of the Hearth to train. Fremine's story also delineates what happened to him, and just how cruel the previous Knave was. Fremine never met his father. As such, his mother had to bear the brunt of paying all of them back, until it was all too much. According to his character Story 4, Fremine's mother took him by the hand and led him away. As he tried to keep up behind her, little Fremine's palms began to hurt from the strength of her grip. Finally, they arrived in front of an unfamiliar house. As a thick door opened, it let out a harsh creak. It was a type of door that you intuitively knew that, once closed, could never be opened again. Still, his mother remained silent. It was as if her expression, weighed down by her heavy heart, had sunk into the bottomless ocean. A woman stepped out, calling herself the Director. The woman took his other wrists and began to pull him in. All of a sudden, his mother's grip tightened, becoming even tighter than what she had let him over. Fremine felt like a boat caught between two waves, completely helpless as they each pulled in opposite directions and showed no signs of letting go. The Director continued to pull him inside, and this time, his mother didn't try to stop her. For a long time after, Fremine truly believed that as long as he behaved and performed well enough, his mother would come to bring him back home. But her kind face, disappearing behind a thick door, would someday reappear. And parting his fringe, she would kiss him on the forehead once again to tell him how well he'd done. But that day never came.
Still haven't figured it out? You were sold to settle a debt.
As he grew up, Fremine started to have doubts about where his mother had gone and his own fate. After he finally plucked up the courage to ask the Director, this was the heartless response she gave him.
You were abandoned, child. This is the only home you have. If you don't follow orders, your mother's safety can't be guaranteed.
Such were the words of the previous Director, callous as spiked shackles, locking his wildest hopes inside that door forever. These invisible fetters left a mark of utter abjection on Fremine. In those days, the ocean depths were his sole escape. However, in his character Story 5, Father told Fremine that his mother hadn't abandoned him, but on the contrary, had acted to protect him. That year, the debt that his family owed finally reached the point where they would no longer be able to repay it. Those greedy moneylenders had not only forced Fremine's mother to hand over the house that they lived in, but also had demanded that she hand over Fremine as well. But she was his mother. How could she let this happen? In the end, she had no choice but to entrust Fremine to that orphanage, somewhere where they could never get at him. How long she was operating the House of the Hearth is currently unknown, But it is possible that the house was her creation, considering that the House of the Heart also doubles as an agent facility. While the foundations have surely changed with Arlecchino, I'm certain that most of the mercenary work is still from the previous one. But the next question is, what happened to her? The previous knave's fate was sealed when a child from the House of the Hearth challenged her to a battle. That child eventually became our current head of the house and soon the Harbinger Arlecchino. Where she is right now is unknown, but the chances are that the current Arlecchino killed her during the duel. After Arlecchino's rule, the House of the Heart's philosophy altered greatly, in which instead of a dictatorial environment, Freminet states that it definitely created a warmer atmosphere. With Father, the home was a place of refuge for all the family's children, and as such required a collective effort to maintain. It was up to each of them to complete their tasks in the way that best suited them. Even if they failed, they wouldn't be subjected to the searingly painful punishments they had been previously. This taste of freedom finally gave Freminet the chance to breathe deeply, and he started searching for his mother's whereabouts in his free time. Say what you want about Arlecchino, but you can't deny her methods save the children from harsher conditions. Arlecchino does, to an extent, care about the children. And I hope that Genshin doesn't just make her a hollow character that's just faking her connection with the kids, because I think there's some pivotal nuance to Arlecchino's duality of being strict and stern with the children and actually wanting to accommodate a place for them. But of course, considering the circumstances of the Fatui, it shouldn't be completely regarded as philanthropy or altruism on her end. But nevertheless, I think it's heartwarming that Arlecchino still became these children's guardian, despite the strictness she exudes. Definitely leagues better than what happened to them in the past. Now, the reason that I made this video is because I actually want to present a few questions. The reason I made this video is because this is one of the rare cases in the Fatui history that we have an example of an exchange of titles. Furthermore, how old are Arlecchino and Freminet? The current Arlecchino and Freminet were both in the House of the Hearth under the Director, which makes me question what's their current age gap. Chitose called Arlecchino a child when she had her altercation with the previous knave, and since Freminet is still relatively a teenager to young adult status, I wonder just how old Father is. One possibility is that Chitose's information was incorrect in saying that the current Arlecchino was a child when they had their altercation, but instead that she was a young adult. Or another is that Arlecchino is considered a quote-unquote child of the House of the Hearth, but was not actually a child at the time of fighting her. A third is that there's some mystery going on in here on how Arlecchino became a Fatui Harbinger. Whether it be sabotage or foul play, your guess is as good as mine. Also, what's the implication of replacing a Harbinger by combat? Currently, we know that the title Knave was passed down, but we don't know if the number also follows with that. FM Snežević said that the current endeavors were also a good way to boost the prestige of Lady Arlecchino, but it's unclear if he has any true regard for the current Arlecchino of the house. It's possible that the name Arlecchino is also passed down. So would that also imply that certain Harbinger positions have successors while others don't? Numbers in the Fatui are also based on combat prestige, as evidenced by Scaramouche's increase in power ranking him above the current existing Harbingers. So if a person is appointed to be a successor, would the number carry over? For example, if Lyney becomes the new knave, he still doesn't have the overall contribution in combat prowess that would warrant him the number that comes with it. So would it be fair to say that he'd be placed at 11th? And this isn't just for Lyney, of course, I just used him because he was the leading theory for Arlecchino's successor. This can go for anyone. Or would there be a gap in the seat similar to how the 6th seat is currently mysteriously empty? Well, guess we'll just have to wait and see. And that's it for me today, a shorter video to start off the week because I just want to cover the lore of the previous knave. Another reason that I find this lore fascinating is because this is one of the rare cases that there was a previous iteration of Harbinger title. You know how Piero in the Pale Flame set was appointing the titles alongside when he was meeting the current Harbingers we have now? Scaramouche, Senora, Pantalone, and Dottore were all still the originals. This one isn't, and I find that kinda cool. 4.1's coming in though, and I have class deadlines. But I'm going to be doing a full analysis on the lore presented in the live stream and hopefully stream more to catch up on Genshin. I actually haven't been playing at all these couple of months, so I've been slacking. So I'll see you all when I see you. I do want to start streaming again. Anyway, my name is Azur and thank you for chilling with me. A more relaxed video to start off the week because oh boy, I'm so tired. But at the same time, I'm super excited for 5.1. I watched the trailer and I'm going to be giving you my thoughts very soon. And yeah, that's just it for me today. Bye-bye.